Hello, I'm Beelzebub and welcome to my channel. So on Monday, I answered some questions from my friend Karsten Frisk. Hopefully you guys followed his socials. I'm sure he appreciates the extra traffic. But today I am going to finish answering his questions. So let's jump right into it. Starting with question 5.
In your journey to skepticism, what would have helped you better understand Christianity had it been available to you?
This is the first question I've really had a problem with. Like I said in question 3, most atheists used to be believers, and it's likely that a great deal of time, thought, and research went into it. So I would say that my knowledge and the knowledge of many other atheists about their respective former religions were quite sufficiently well informed about their former beliefs to arrive at the conclusion of atheism. So let's get moving on to question 6, shall we?
What do you think is the biggest stumbling block for skeptical people to come to faith in Christ?
My answer would be lack of evidence. It's just that simple. There isn't sufficient evidence for belief in such a person. And to a skeptic, something like faith is utterly useless, especially when you consider that faith isn't a good tool for arriving at knowledge, since faith can take you in literally any direction. Look at all the other religions around the world that base themselves on faith, and you'll see my point. But if you want to convince a skeptic of something, you're going to need to show them solid proof of whatever claim you make.
Do you think skeptical people have more of an issue with the Christian church or having faith in a loving deity?
Obviously, I don't speak for any atheist other than myself. So, speaking for myself, I'm going to have to say both. I have numerous issues with the beliefs and behaviors of not just Christian churches, but pretty much all forms of religion. Not only that, but the idea of a loving deity makes no sense to me. The problem of evil is something religions fail to address time and time again. A loving God would not allow much of what happens on earth if it truly were loving. A loving parent doesn't let their child burn their hand on a hot stove, so why does God allow someone in a suicide vest to blow themselves up and a crowd of people with them? Or a nut job with a gun to shoot up a school full of kids? No. If there is a God, it certainly is not loving. And before anyone brings up the argument of free will, bear in mind that in the two scenarios I brought up, the people being murdered are having their free will violated in probably the worst way possible.
After finishing discussions with Christians, how do you feel?
The answer to that question is entirely dependent on the Christian I'm talking to. And it can run the gamut between blind fury if I talk to a Christian that I think is bigoted, rude, condescending, or some mix of those options, other options, or anything, really. Then there are Christians I feel good after talking with because there was a good, productive conversation and we actually considered each other's points. It's just too subjective of a question to realistically give an answer. Finally, and I think this actually very well may be my favorite question on the list.
If you could recommend one book, interview, movie, or article for Christians to read, what would it be?
Not only is this quite probably my favorite question, but it's also the easiest to answer. And guys, I promise that I am not being sponsored by Armin Navabi or Atheist Republic, but I would recommend Why There Is No God by Armin Navabi. It probably sounds like I'm giving religious people the middle finger, but I'm not. It's a book that breaks down 20 arguments commonly made by theists and it refutes them. I'm not recommending it in an effort to deconvert anyone, just to get people thinking. And maybe at least abandon bad argumentation. I would love it if, at the very least, people just stopped using bad apologetics. But guys, I'm at the end of the list of questions Carson sent me. Maybe if you go over to his Twitter and ask him. He will come up with some more questions to ask. That'll do it for this one, though. If you enjoyed the video, please leave it a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and click the notification bell to get notified whenever I post a new video. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, linked below, to keep up with all my comings and goings. And I'll link Karsten's socials again to give you another chance to follow him and maybe ask for some more questions. Take it easy, everyone, and I'll see you all in the next one.